Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We got some very interesting developments in Romania. And there is some candidates are barred from running for Romanian presidency, while others are allowed, are cleared to do it. I'm talking about Diana Sosoaca and Georg Simon. We already know that Călin Georgescu was barred. Now, Diana Sosoaca was barred. Georg Simon was not. Well, maybe we understand why based on his statements made during the interview with Financial Times. Diana Sosoaca, on the other hand, she's barred from entering Ukraine. Why? For 3 years. Not 1 year, not 5 years, 3 years. Do the Ukrainians think that Diana Sosoaca's lifespan is 3 years from now? That's it? Be careful. So, I'm going to show you a few articles where Diana Sosoaca is barred from entering Ukraine. I don't know if she really wants to go in. How she's portrayed as an anti-Ukraine and a pro-Russian. Never a pro-Romanian, which actually that's what it is. And I will show you an interview with Mr. Simion, who says that actually Russia is a threat to Romania. And 80% of the Romanians would vote to stay with NATO. And he is cleared to run for a Romanian presidency. Is he lying? He just wants to, say the right things until he gets in power, if he's allowed to get in power, and then change. They are smarter than that. They smell a rat when they see it. I'm not saying Simion is a rat. No, don't get it that way. So let's start with the first article. This comes from Ukrainska Pravda. Anti-Ukraine Romanian politician banned from entering Ukraine for 3 years. Remember, anti-Ukraine. And here is Sosoaca. So she is barred. We're going to discuss this. She's banned from entering for 3 years. Again, why 3 years and not 2 years? Do they know something we don't know? Is something that maybe they know in 3 years she won't be anymore around among us? Or why is she anti-Ukraine? But hey, New Voice of Ukraine. SBU bars Romania's pro-Russian politician, Sosoaca, from entry to Ukraine. So Sosoaca is barred and she's a pro-Russian and an anti-Ukraine. Never a pro-Romanian. Now, if you have a disagreement with your neighbor regarding the boundary of your property versus his. Let's say it's a fence, and you say, you know what, I think my fence should be, 3 feet a little bit towards you. So you have a disagreement with a neighbor. Maybe you had dinner with him last night. Maybe you've seen his, children's graduation. Maybe you're okay with the guy, but you have one disagreement, or maybe more, on this particular issue. Does that make you an anti-neighbor? Of course not. So Ms. Sosoaca has a problem with some territories, Romanian territories, that are currently in Ukraine. She's pro-Romanian. She wants those territories back. It doesn't mean you're anti-Ukraine. You just have a problem with that. Let's discuss. Let's fix things. They will be unfixable until the guys in charge of all of us will decide they will be fixed. Romania will not get them until the Americans and the Russians say, yes, you can have them. If tomorrow those two guys say you can have them, Romania will have the Ukrainian territories without a fight. Without a fight. I guarantee you that. But hey, she's anti-Ukraine, pro-Russian, never pro-Romanian. Maybe that's why she's barred from running. She has the same, to a certain extent, the same message as Mr. Călin Georgescu has. Now, I understand it's different styles, different semantics, different looks, and so on. I understand that. But after all, they're both patriots and nationalists. That means Romania first. Like France should be French first for the French. France first, same. That's the way it is. Why? My family first, your family second, if you are okay. The same here. I don't expect you to put my family in front of your family. That's criminal. And vice versa. Don't expect me to put my country behind your country. And you put my country behind your country. That's idiotic. Why should I put the neighbors ahead of me? And then the neighbors put me ahead of them, their family. So again, No pro-Russian, no anti-Ukrainian. And besides, Romania should look for its own interest. So if Sosoaca looks for the interest, saying, hey, maybe we can get from the Russians some deals, that means you're pro-Russian? No, you look at your national interest and you say, that's a good thing for us. Unless you are just a bit, dense. And when you're dense, not like dance, not like that kind, like dance, like Mike Pence. Mike Pence is a dense, Mike Pence the dance is a dense guy. That means rigid, boxed, okay, caged. All right, so this is with this. Let's go further and let's see what Georg Simon said at Financial Times interview. Now you can agree or you can disagree, but if Georg Simon tries to play a possum, like I'm dead right now and then all of a sudden I'm going to be alive, like hey, I'm going to say the right things to be accepted, all right, to be kosher, that's the right word, kosher, like Trump did, and then I get elected and I turn around and say, oh, that's me, I got my masks off, I'm the patriot and so on. Georg Simon is a patriot. How come he was allowed to run? Well, maybe because they think he doesn't have any chances, therefore let him be. Or maybe because they think, well, let's appease the Romanians by saying democracy works. See, Simion won. I'm just saying, Simion won. But Simion is not your boy. It's our boy. But you don't know it yet. All right, let's see. Financial Times interview. Ziare.com. All right, we have this one, and it says here, Georg Simon. Interviu pentru Financial Times. Rusia lui Putin este o amenințare. End quote. Și 80% dintre români, 80% dintre români vor NATO și UE. Translation. Putin's Russia is a threat, and 80% of Romanians want to be in NATO and the European Union, according to Mr. Simion. Next one, astăzi.ro. The same thing. Georg Simon se distanțează de Călin Georgescu într-un interviu pentru Financial Times. Rusia lui Putin este o amenințare și 80% dintre români vor NATO și UE. It says Russia, Putin's Russia is the same thing. Next one, it says Georg Simon, we don't want that one, it was over there. Georg Simon distances himself from Călin Georgescu. All right? So he distances himself from Călin Georgescu because Călin Georgescu got barred, so you can't hold the same ideas, which is I love my country. I have to love nobody but whomever the media operative tells me to love today and hate tomorrow. That's what they do. They just brand it. Fuck. You have to hate that guy. Why? He's the most evil guy in the world. But. All right, and then they call your name and try to destroy your life. So let's go to the original interview, original media that broke the news, that had the interview, Financial Times. And I had to accept all these guys is whatever. Far-right Romanian frontrunner, so he's a frontrunner right now, sees Russia as a threat. Georg Simon takes baton from barred presidential candidate who described Vladimir Putin as a role model. So you see, they tell you, you should not do this. That's a bad thing. Therefore, you have to say, well, he's a threat, man. He's a threat. So here, the Romanian far-right leader who took the baton from barred presidential candidate Călin Georgescu has struck a more conciliatory tone, saying Europe needs a united front against Russia. Okay, Georg Simon was cleared to run in May's elections after judge barred pro-Russia again, frontrunner, citing the threat Georgescu had posed to the constitutional order. Simion, whose far-right alliance for the Union of the Romanians party sits in the same group with Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy and Poland's Law and Justice in the European Parliament, has struck a markedly different tone, especially in the war in Ukraine. And I'm quoting, Putin's Russia was and is one of the biggest threats for the European states. Well, which European states? I tell you, Germany, Great Britain, France, yes, that's Poland, that's a threat for the big mouth in the Baltic states, that's a threat. But not for, Hungary or Romania, I would say. Especially for us, he said. For the Baltic states and Poland, correct. Big mouths must be shot. Maybe being kicked shot. Simion told the Financial Times, and I'm quoting, "We," who's we, "need unity, but not just in Europe. Also between Europe and the United States, we need the same approach." Oh my God, look at that. So, George Simion has backing. Simion has Georgescu's backing, but he is now distancing himself from the former frontrunner who had described Russian President Vladimir Putin as a patriot and a role model. You see patriot? You see over there? Patriot is in quotation marks, but the role model is not. Why not patriot and put a role model in the quotation? Probably he did not say it. Probably he did not say exactly that, because I know what he said. All right? Before being banned, Georgescu has ranked first in opinion polls at more than 40%. Some of that support has shifted to Simion, who is now the frontrunner, according to a survey published on Monday by the Atlas Intel. He ranked first at 30%, followed by the centrist. Okay, these guys are baboons. These guys are, Jesus Christ, Călin Antonescu. People who know this guy should not even look around. 18%. You still have 80% of baboons over there anyway, at least. Our stance cannot be changed. 80% of Romanians want NATO and want the European Union, he says. This is not something we can negotiate, he said. People voted for Mr. Georgescu because they wanted someone outside the current political parties. I am a young leader. I am part of this change. I agree with you. You could see the football supporter becoming a responsible statesman. Yeah, that's him. He compared himself to Italy's right-winger premier. So this is Simion, this is Georgescu. Now, the far-right leader said it is important to heed Trump's call to invest more in Europe's own military forces. This is what we have to do. So he's ready over there. He wants a ready military-industrial complex. Now, I don't know if indeed Simion switched sides. I don't know if that's the truth. Or if he think that he's going to pretend until he is allowed to get in power, and when he gets in power, he thinks that he will have the authority to say, okay, now my prime minister is going to be Mr. Georgescu. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Why? Because you say, well, he was barred from running, but he's not probably barred from holding office, or is he? Maybe he is barred from that. And remember, Sosoaca is out as well from presidential race. I don't think the presidents of Romania have power. That's my personal opinion. I think the power comes from far, far away. And they're just over there, as Zelensky is just a secretary. No, secretary takes calls, makes statements in the name of, but you don't know that. But you can smell it immediately. If I were right now under these circumstances, I'm not endorsing this, but I'm just saying, if I were right now to vote, and I have Simion, and the baboons mentioned over there, I would vote for Simion. I think, why? You say, well, out of all those guys over there, he impressed me in the past. I say, yeah, I liked him. Yeah, I don't like his style, but I don't care the style. I like what he says that he's going to do. And let's see if he's going to do. One thing I give, what's his name? Simion is balls. He's got balls, big balls of fire. And the other two, all three patriots have balls. The other ones are weasels. I don't like the statements he made whatsoever in all this finance. Nothing. I like nothing what he said in this Financial Times interview. Just so you know, if that's the case, but you know, those guys smell you. So I don't think Simion just changed. Either they let him be elected. Let's say he's elected because he can't do anything. That means his power, he just... but then you say, why didn't they let Georgescu run? Why don't they let Sosoaca run? So, to some extent, he must have some power somewhere. Probably he has some power of decision to change some generals and get his generals in. Therefore, the guys, will lose. They can't handle it. Therefore, your country becomes independent. But when you're going to tell NATO, get the fuck out, what are you going to do? You're going to have a coup d'etat yesterday. So here it is, my friends, and I have one more article here to show you. This comes from Bloomberg. I like the wording here. Romanian far-right leader Simion cleared by whom? For presidency run. He's cleared by the whomever is in charge, not by the constitutional court or whatever, the guys that allowed you the election to run, not by those look to the bosses. Capul plecat, sabia nu-l taie. Garbage saying. Alright? So the bowed head, the sword won't cut off. So here you have. What do you think it is, my friends? She's not going to be going to Ukraine 3 years. It's because those guys are going to plan something on Sosoaca? She's not anti-Ukrainian or pro-Russian. She's pro-Romanian. The other guy switches 100% his stance. Why? He pretends just to get in power and then appoint whomever he's going to do that. We'll see. I think that's the way it is. If that's not the way it is, Simion is gone for me. If Simion wins and he's going to play the garbage European Union and Russia is a threat and NATO stay here and protect us from the boogeyman, you're done. For me. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth and be just.